One of these days, we're going to have to get the commander's own shield. Just the shield for you is actually the one for 𝐒𝐬𝐜𝐴𝐺. We'll get a good picture there and get that going. So how are you, Commander?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
Doing good, thanks. Tired. It's been crazy. It's not just like the stuff we've been covering and everything else going on. It's just, I think it is. I think it's trying to get back into a regular routine after the holidays is just, it's always a challenge, but I don't know. I'm realizing just how much I think I overexerted myself over the holidays. Oh dear Lord.
I know that feeling.
So this, is actually this show. The idea. So Christopher 𝗲𝗲, who you've met, he's for some reason that
virtually,
yes, for some reason that I failed to comprehend, decided that we should do a 15-hour stream, and he sold me on this like high concept. He's just like, because his channel's called The Dinner Table, and he's just like, Nick, there are people who just have no one to talk to or hang with during the holidays. So let's do, if you don't have a dinner table of your own, come to our dinner table. And I was just like, okay, I'm sold.
What?
15 hours.
You could call it dinner time for you.
Yeah, dinner time. That would have been. We should have. Yes. Well, and I wanted to simulcast it here, but it was just like there was enough random elements of people coming in and open hangs where I'm just sitting there going like, okay, we've still got a strike. So just like we're gonna err on the side of caution and chill. But he came up with the concept of this. He was just like, oh, you know what? And we started the very first downtimes was just pre-recorded and would cut out a lot of the filler. And, would get, out of an hour, would get the best 20, 30 minutes. And it was great, but it takes forever to edit video. I had no idea how hard it is. Oh, yeah. So for me to edit like a 1 hour video is going to take probably about 4 or 5 hours minimum. And, pros can do it much faster. But anyways, so we've got a whole bunch of these that haven't been finished edited, that were all a bunch more, going all the way back to Vox, who you never met, but she was a co-host on In Time. We still got some downtimes with Vox. I was just like, wow. But we have an editor who's been working with us, so I'm hoping we can start to go through the backlog and start to get some of those up. But the reason I was thinking about it was because we have one with... we have a great one with 𝗲𝗲, 𝗚 and Joe that was a lot of fun, but it's now like 2 years old. For these casual conversations, we can still do it, but it's just, oh dear Lord, it's talk about not being on time. That show was scheduled 2 years ago, and we're still waiting for it to start. So, oh dear Lord. So we're going to be seeing Starsky tomorrow, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Yep.
I gotta tell you, maybe a separate conversation or something. I was watching him do his show on his channel, and he's getting endorsement deals out the wazoo, right? So people like sneakers, coffee, the whole 9 yards. And he's saying no. He's just like, absolutely. Yeah, no, he won't take any of it. And somebody said, why not? And he's just like, well, because really, he goes, this was supposed to be a gaming channel. It's just like, I was going to just do gaming and people were going to watch and, I might do some Minecraft. And instead, I'm here talking about my country being at war. I would rather have a gaming channel with 2 subscribers than a war channel with, he's up to what now?
With a couple thousand.
Oh, no, he's up to like 600, 700,000.
Holy crap.
Yes. It's got. I think he's in the hundreds of thousands. Whether it's 300, 400. No, it's got to be more than 300,000. I forget how. It's between 300,000 and 700,000, somewhere in there.
Well,
so yeah. Yep. So what was I going to say? It's just a little weird. I really like the guy. I like talking to him. I think he's really intelligent. He's genuine. But it's always like, yay, we're going to talk to the guy who's in the middle of a war and his country is getting decimated. I don't know. So it's that it's a weird feeling, and it's a little weird to see how to. I mean, I some of his videos are him clowning around with his friends, which it's like good. It's he's trying to find a sense of normalcy, but it's hard to know. It feels like there's got to be some etiquette about talking about how excited I am to see him, and realizing that there's really only one reason I'm seeing him, and that's to talk about what Russia is doing to his country right now.
Yeah.
So, speaking of clusterfucks, the House of Representatives. Shit.
You mean the little clown car with the guys in the bozo shoes?
Oh my
Red
God.
bozo shoes? God damn.
Well, and part of me, you and I have talked also too about sort of ethics and you and I seem to have an idealistic view of things, which I like, because there aren't a lot of people that quite share my idealism and the idea that in general,
Hang on, I'm getting fan mail from the fan club here.
Somebody created a Twitter account. Is McCarthy speaker yet? No, McCarthy.
So somebody apparently has created a Twitter account which is labeled "Is McCarthy speaker yet?" And all it is a series of people tagging in saying, no, 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 no. Which I thought was apropos to what we were talking about, so we'll just continue with it.
Well, and so we actually have, it looks like, hold on, it looks like he's going to be taking another shot at it. We've heard, hold on, let's just see here. Yeah, here we go.
One more try, Kevin. Ah, boom.
Oh my God. So, and so part of me is just like, okay, this is, and I forget now. Wow. I forget. This is how tired I am. I forget who I was having this conversation with. It could have been you. If it was, kind of be polite and be like, oh no, Nick. But, about how this is really the on some level, the culmination of the cynical attitudes that they've had, where they've been giving away a little bit of power to the extremists in exchange for that extremist energy that's willing to do, absolutely anything to get people like Trump elected. And now they are hostage to it, to the point where if McCarthy gets in, he's got no power. He can't do anything. He's switching
giving it all away.
Yeah. And here's what's going to happen, which is, unless something really drastic happens, the American public's going to remember this. That there's going to be a blue wave, next, assuming at least that's where it's headed. I don't know what you think.
In normal times, with normal political processes, I would agree with you. But I think we've gone down the rabbit hole of bizarro United States world. And that nothing makes sense anymore. And I think as long as we're in that situation, you cannot make realistic predictions or informed predictions about what's going to happen in 2 months, let alone 2 years. So...
And do me a favor. If you could tell Sherry that no, she's not getting the stipend just because she speaks on camera. If we pick up, no, it goes per household. It's just, per camera. There's one camera. That's all that counts. If she happens to walk in and say hi.
That's right.
All right.
But Nico still gets his special doggy cookie treat when he appears on camera.
Yes, we should. He can be our mascot.
Okay. We're good.
Oh, you get to see interviews with Starsky's dog and everything else on his channel. It's a lot of fun. I can't recommend his channel enough. It's really a lot of fun, and he's the same guy. He's the same guy on his channel. He was talking about I guess he's got.
I love his sense of humor. He's good.
I guess the weapon that he was issued was a PK, which is supposed to be based on a Walter Mir or whatever it's called, PPK, but it's a copy. It's a Russian copy. It's really terrible. He says, so he's just he goes, you can't hit anything with it. You can't shoot anything with it. He goes, it has one use, which is if the enemy is within 3 yards, you can throw it at him. It's just oh my God, shit. Wow. Yeah. How do you really feel?
Well, and then we have to perform tests to see how its ballistics as a thrown weapon compared to, say a 45 caliber or a Beretta 9mm or what have you. We can have the giant weapon throw-off contest to see who has the best throwing weapon of the modern era.
So, Sinister Porpoise, I donated 95% of my snark to the Ukrainian war effort. That reminds me of that Twitter thing from the Tesla... from the Tesla account, like we're donating 10,000 Teslas to the Ukrainian war effort because Tesla's the best explosive device on the planet.
Because nobody else will buy them.
Yeah. Oh my God. Musk is. Oh, I got some theories on Musk too. But so you had talked about Beau the Fifth Column. Speaking of, so I hadn't heard of Beau until Azandering, who is in the live chat here, had told me about him, and I was just like, "Have you heard of this guy?" I said, "No, I haven't." He goes, "Check him out," and I've checked him out. And, oh my God, he is really good. He knows, and I don't know how he does these 15-minute, not even 15. No, it's like 5-minute short videos, summarizing.
Yeah, the longest of his I've ever seen was like 12 minutes, and that was unusual. Usually they're under 10.
If I could learn to do that, if I could learn to contain my speech to, that's a skill. But to top it off, he really knows what the hell he's talking about. So you had said you had seen he did something to like today or something on the McCarthy thing, but
it was
I haven't.
Literally hours ago, so it's very, very recent. But his comment was, what we're really seeing is a bunch of freshman representatives on largely MAGA types who got into Congress and are desperately trying to get themselves moved to the head of the line for powerful and meaningful committee assignments. Because if they had to wait in line, they'd get shuffled off to fisheries and mollusk exploitation or what have you. What?
These are also the ones who ask for pardons.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, but what Beau was saying is that they're trying to get ahead of the jump to get those positions on committees, largely because he theorizes, and I can't disagree with him. I totally think he's on to something here. Largely because they realize that Trump's days as a meaningful political influencer are limited. And once he goes away, since they're his squad, once he goes away, their ability to get elected similarly gets adversely impacted. Unless they can stand up in front of their constituents and say, well, as a senior member of the thus and such committee, I did X, and look how much money I pork-bellied into our, wonderful district here. So that's what they're trying to do. This is nothing about, party loyalty. This is nothing about doctrinal decisiveness and, going to get it to the libs or anything. This is all about personal greed and trying to make sure that they get to stay in power. It's all about a power fight. And as you and I were commenting earlier, as much as McCarthy is conceding to these demands, he's handing over all of his own power to them. So he's not going to be able to get anything done either. So it's like shooting himself in the foot to help people who have already made clear that they can't stand him. So it's the dumbest possible move on his part. But he's as I think I said in the comments on Discord at some point, I think in a lot of ways McCarthy is currently in the same situation that Putin finds himself in, which is that he can't back down. He needs to be able to have something he can come away with saying, mission accomplished, so that he will look like he succeeded. Because if he caves in and gives them everything they want, and doesn't get in, his political future ceases to exist. He'll never see office again, even as a dog catcher.
Let's see. I'm trying to find I just had the Bloomberg article because this reminded me of with Trump. So, but before I get to the Bloomberg thing, so he gave one of the things he gave them was that I had seen, believe it or not, on Fox News, which is why I'm hesitant to think it was accurate. I'd seen somebody say that what he had offered was it only takes one vote from a Republican to oust the speaker. That can't be correct. That's got to be one vote to initiate, like either a no confidence vote or something like that. What do you know what that was?
Yeah, my understanding is that he has told them he will give them that right, where they can initiate any one individual can initiate a no confidence vote, calling for another election for speaker, which is basically saying, yeah, the moment they get you elected, the next thing one of them's going to do is try to oust you. So you're in a perpetual cycle of getting nothing accomplished.
And everyone can threaten that now. Everyone's got something to hold over him. They're
including the Democrats.
I would pay so much to see that. I mean, the Democratic nominee has won. Not won. He's been the majority, or sorry, the plurality vote every single time. He just hasn't gotten the majority, but he's 212 every single time.
Yeah, it's impressive how much bloc Democratic loyalty you're seeing in this. It's unusual. It's not something you normally see from them.
So there are a lot of similarities, I think, between that and what's been going on with the Prime Minister, and so we've got yeah.
It was only a matter of time before somebody put that up.
yeah. So, and has what is it? Has present become the new speaker yet? No, I think that's surprised. Well,
I just keep looking at this, and I think I said this yesterday in discussion, was that it's like that old quip of what is the definition of insanity? It's repeating the same action, hoping you'll get a different result. And we're at like 11 attempts now to find a different result. It's like the entire party is insane.
And here comes the next Speaker of the House, 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐥-𝐈�. Neil, good to see you. He's as likely as anyone. He's Canadian, and he'll still probably get in. Trump did this photo, and I couldn't find it, but it was up on.
I don't think there's anything that says you have to be American to be.
No, there isn't actually.
And technically, you don't even have to be a member of the House.
Yeah, nope. So I'll see if I can put up. Yeah, no. Why he's saying no. He won't. Oh my God. So let's see. What was I saying? Let's see. We were doing Trump. Then Neil came in and completely derailed the whole show. But he's a troublemaker. Dear Lord, we were talking. Completely. Oh yeah, Trump put on Truth Social. Put on a picture of of him sticking his tongue out, and he's in the speaker's chair at a joint session of Congress. So it's there's I forget who else was in the picture, but it's he's had himself photoshopped in, and he's sticking out his tongue. It genuinely looks fake, but what I'm seeing is no, that was posted to his Truth Social account, so he's acting like a 12-year-old. I've been trying to. If anyone can find that photo and drop it in the Discord, I'd appreciate it. I've been trying to find it. I don't have a Truth Social account, but it was on Midas Touch, and they usually get those things right. They were sitting there going like, "Is this real? We don't know. We think it is. It's on his Truth Social." So, but it's. I mean, it's nice to see that he's kind of flaming out, but Dear Lord. Okay, and I wanted to show this Bloomberg article, but I keep getting the CAPTCHA from Google. You know those idiotic CAPTCHAs where you got to like find the sidewalk and do all that other stuff? I can't. So I can't log in. I'm trying to get Bloomberg. Hold on a sec. I'm going to share my screen. I got to get through this CAPTCHA here, and then I can. Here we go. This is. Here we go.
Click on every picture of a speaker.
Yeah. Yeah. That's gonna be next. So, Bloomberg published actually a really cool article earlier today. Let me. And I did for a second. I had lost it, but I freaking found it again. So, thank God. So let's see. It was Bloomberg earlier today. They're basically saying, a group of Justice Department officials are claiming that they believe there is sufficient evidence already for the obstruction charges. The special prosecutor has been going much faster than anticipated. He landed in the U.S.
He's getting your airtime.
They say they think charges beginning on at a minimum obstruction are going to be coming in. They say not months but weeks. And I hit the paywall, and I thought I had a subscription. Where's? Oh no, here we go. Okay, I got this one here. So you can tell things are moving quickly. A federal prosecutor served under Smith at the Justice Department. And he is going over everything. He has issued subpoenas to let's see. There was an early round of grand jury subpoenas. All right, where did this go here? He's basically hit all of the battleground states everywhere where there were the panel of fake electors. And let's see. Okay, so it looks like he's got a team of at least 20 people, a mix of assistant U.S. attorneys. Grand jury subpoenas sent by Smith include Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia, New Mexico, and Nevada. Most of those states have confirmed that they've already complied with the subpoenas. And then he's got 35 pages of emails from Clark County, Nevada. He is serious.
Good.
Yeah, I'm still. It's tough. My wife is on the side of nothing will ever come of it, and he's going to get away scot-free. I think you had made it very good.
You've heard my opinion, so, and I suspect he may well get brought to trial, but I don't think even if he is found guilty, there will be anything short, or excuse me, anything beyond, house arrest, where he may or may not have to wear his, ankle bracelet so he can't leave Mar-a-Lago or something. I seriously do not see him ever serving actual jail time. There may be some fines, but he's got so many deep pocket supporters that it won't impact him at all.
I agree he isn't going to serve jail time. I think house arrest is I think it's going to be house arrest. I do think that's going to be groundbreaking, and it's going to be But I also think, I'm curious. Yeah, he's always going to have some deep pocket supporters, but I think his business is going to get wiped out. I think Letitia James is serious about ending the entire Trump organization. And judging by what I've seen, I think she's got it. I think she can do it. I think she's going to end that organization. And once that's done, and if you take a look at what's going on in Congress now, I think that's only the start of the. If we go by the Bow theory, I think that's only the start of people who are sort of abandoning and trying to stay away from Trump. And I think pretty soon, my hope is pretty soon the brand is going to be toxic. By pretty soon, I mean like 2-3 years.
But I think you're already seeing that with a lot of what I would call mainstream slant rhino Republicans is they have realized, probably have for quite a while, that he is toxic and they need to divest themselves of him completely, or it's going to have serious ramifications for them downstream. The problem is they've made that deal with the devil, with all the deplorables, the MAGA types, because without them in their camp, they have nowhere near enough voters to ever get control of either chamber of Congress, let alone the White House.
I always get suspicious when I hear stuff like that because it's what I want to hear, right? But doing some research, and yes, the liberals do gerrymander too, or the Democrats gerrymander too, but it's much worse on the right. They've certainly had more success with it. Then you take a look at, and the very first time I really heard somebody say that, I think it was Clinton said that he had been talking to a conservative friend of his, and he said, you guys cheat on everything you do. He goes, yeah, that's the only way we can win. It's not based on popularity or having better ideas. And okay, you hear that, you're like, oh yeah, that feeds into my bias, but I'm starting to think there is some truth to it.
Yeah, and I also think that we've actually seen a lot of those moderate Republicans migrate and become Democrats. And I think at the same time as we've seen the GOP go substantially to the right, we've also seen the Democrats go substantially to the right. And there's a split within the Democratic Party that people don't really talk about. And that's that split between what I call the mainstream Democrats and the progressives. But they at least have not come to a point where they're, going through 11, 12 iterations of who gets to be the speaker.
Speaking of, we got one more. Now I've got that. It's only been 3 days. There's
Put your little hand in mine.
Oh wow! So how is this going to end?
Day, just like the other.
I mean, either McCarthy quits, which you really can't do. They come together with some kind of deal with the Democrats to move forward and elect somebody else, or they come up with a deal that works with McCarthy. But I don't see any of that 20 doing that. Not only that, but that 20 is now turned to 21 with if you include, I think, the one abstain and many more abstains. How many abstains do they need? I think 6 abstains, and the Democrat gets it. Or just 6 abstains, and at some point I'd start abstaining.
What I can't understand, honestly, what I can't understand is why the Democrats don't go to the moderate Republicans and understand. I do not include McCarthy and his coterie of idiots in that group, but talk to the moderate Republicans and say, look, we'll back one of you to become speaker if you can put yourselves together and get enough people. I think they only need 8 of them to go to that side of the fence, and ta-da! And that really puts all the other idiots in the toilet.
There's a very small number of Democrats who I think have the pull to do that and survive with their own political careers intact, because you're voting for a Republican. It
but
may
let's
be
be
a
honest,
necessity.
the chances of getting a Democrat into that position when you don't hold a majority is pretty close to 0.
Well, and let's assume it's not going to happen. I completely agree, but I can see a lot of I can see a lot of liberals, a lot of Democrats saying, if you vote for the Republican, you're bailing them out of this mess, and if they're screwing up, why get in their way? Why not just let them keep screwing it up? And the answer is because it's not good for the country. But okay, but the first thing,
the other part is we do need a loyal opposition in this country. We have a 2-party system, And that's not going to change anytime soon. The system of government we have is essentially built upon that premise. So if you're going to do that, you find an actual loyal opposition to work with. And then the two groups can start working together to make compromises like we used to pass legislation that's desperately needed right now. And leave these foaming at the mouth knuckle draggers in the dirt.
I don't think I cannot think of a better solution than that. I hope there are Dems. I still think just because of how it looks, voting for a Republican, despite you're completely correct. I mean, it's going to be a Republican anyway. But just that, okay, you cast a vote for a Republican for Speaker, I can see Democrats getting some serious heat for that. I don't think they should, for all the reasons.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of idiotic litmus tests that the extreme end of the Republicans are applying to everybody who's on that side of the fence.
Yep.
So even if you don't believe in their crap, you still have to spout it and support it, because the moment you veer slightly off the, approved doctrine, you're evil, you're horrible, we're going to vote you out, we're going to primary you, et cetera, and they can't afford to do that. They can't risk it. So they play the game. And if you actually want to get something going where the country works together for everyone's benefit again, you need to break the power of the ideologues on both sides.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I got a super chat. I'm going to get to that in a second. Nope, absolutely. I do think that we see that on both sides, right? I think right now in our history, it's far worse on the right than on the left. We see the same thing on the left, which is it's okay it's actually preferable. It's a good thing that the Republicans are eating themselves alive. They're learning their lesson for having whatever they've done, yada, yada, yada. And even if it's hurting the country more than it's hurting the Republicans, at least it's hurting the Republicans, so we can, we'll sit back and enjoy.
Sure.
All right, is Andering person $10. I'm so happy to see the mainstream media enthusiastically and successfully build a large paywalls around their content. Oh, let's scroll right up there. Around their content, whilst denouncing anyone supporting a border wall as racist. Any thoughts? Thank you, Andring, for the co-host, and he still super chats, which is awfully generous of you, Andring. So thank you very much for that. Any thoughts? I mean, I think they are two separate issues, but that's actually that's an interesting observation. Any thoughts?
Assuming I understand what he's saying correctly, my feeling is that a large part of it is that mainstream media, regardless of which side of the political fence that mainstream falls on, is increasingly under enormous financial pressure from all the small news agencies and such, like yours. And so they're desperately trying to find ways to recoup lost revenues, because so many people are not getting their news through mainstream media anymore. They don't, it used to be standard fare in this country. You woke up in the morning, you had breakfast while you were watching either ABC, CBS, or NBC News. And then that kind of expanded with Fox and other, CNBC and all those. But it was still the same concept. And a lot, particularly among the younger generation, a lot of people are not doing that anymore. They don't want to see that. They go to something that they find more interactive, more responsive, faster, a little more edgy. And so as those viewership numbers decline, ad revenues similarly decline. So certainly the big three, and I would argue all of the mainstream media, when I say mainstream in this case, I mean anybody who relies heavily on that kind of advertising for successful business model, they are under pressure to find other sources of revenue. So they start going to PayPal things, where if you want to get our stuff, you have to pay us additional money. You know, where you're subscribing to In Time, allegedly. So why don't you subscribe to NBC? It's just a little more step on the same thing. I don't agree with that mindset, but there we are.
We're looking to have, because we had in part a discussion about this with Aaron Rabinowitz. Was it earlier in the week? We had a discussion with him, and we're going to be having him back, I think, next week to discuss. Hopefully, him and Brooks we're going to be able to have on to discuss how to deal with extremism in general. That's a topic that Brooks knows a lot about, and we've had him on to discuss. So him and Rabinowitz, I think, is going to be really good. The other one is how to deal with the problem of media in this country, because somebody does have to pay for the media. The media can't be completely free. I mean, even like when you have the government paying for roads, the roads are not free. You don't pay for them per se, but they're not free. Somebody has to pay for the media. If it's the government, well, in the U.S. they do that in Europe, and I'd be interested to hear your take on that. But if it's the government, especially in the U.S., we're going to sit there and say, okay, it's the government. You can't trust anything they say. It's just going to be a propaganda arm of the government. If it's paid for by ad revenue, you've got the problem of advertisers, the possibility of cancel culture threatening how and what they report on, because they don't. If it's the users, well, now their biggest goal is to get as many users as possible to come in and subscribe, and then you have paywall issues and all this other stuff. So how are you going to pay for the media?
That's a very good question, and I certainly don't have an answer to it. As you mentioned, some European countries use a model where if you have a television, you have to pay a special tax on that television, and that goes to support, the state-sponsored. State-sponsored but independent news agencies. BBC being a perfect case in point in England. Everybody pays a tax if you have a television, and a lot of people dislike that. They get very frustrated with it, and Americans don't understand it because we don't operate on a similar model. But there you are. That's one option. Or you could have the Russian option, which is it's run by the state and it spouts the message that the great leader tells it to spout.
In Russia, state media controls you. Yeah. We had Dr. Misha Griffith, who I love. I think she's a fiercely intelligent, just extraordinarily intelligent person, and you discover that pretty quickly by talking to her. But she's kind of quiet, so unless you ask her, she's not necessarily. And once you really start to realize just how smart she is, we had her on a lot. But I remember one time asking her to come on and do a show that we wanted to do. And I learned a trick to booking people, which is to try to book them for two shows and say one show that we want and one show, any topic you want, come on, do that show. And she said the difference between media in the U.S. and the U.K. And I was just like, no, just pick the most boring topic that's humanly possible. Yeah, I'm trying to run a channel here, but I was like, okay, I didn't say anything. I was like, oh, that sounds great. I'm so glad. I learned that was still to this day one of my favorite episodes we've ever aired. It was insane how media, both the U.S., Europe, they each got radio, they each got television, but they went very different ways for very different reasons, most of it having to do with the geography, believe it or not, of the countries. Yeah. As to how they do it, and they can't imagine, free airwaves here in the U.S. where anybody, as long, you may have to get a license, but for the most part you can. And then over there, it's all controlled by the government, and nobody cares. No, it's a really good show. Look it up. I highly recommend people. If you're watching it, it's media. Dr. Griffith in our. Just look that up on our what is it? Oh, Jesus, on our YouTube page. Just search it, find it. It's really good. So the other thing I wanted to say, because I wanted to hit back, I hadn't completely finished on Zandring's super chat, but not to get too effusive to like everybody who's ever been on the show before, but one of the things, I think what Zandring for me has contributed the most by being on this show is me really seeing someone who honestly has very genuinely different approaches to solving basically the same problems, just thinks they should be solved differently. And that was one of the things he said, the biggest difference between conservatives and liberals isn't a disagreement over what the problems are, it's how to solve them. And so, you know, the wall, I don't think I ever really thought of the wall as racist, although that is a common trope from liberals. I'm against that trope for any number of reasons. We've had those kinds of discussions before. But I did think that it was entirely like people who were for it were completely uneducated on the issues, didn't understand how it works, and all yada yada yada. And I have a lot less of that view now, and just by talking to Zandring on it and seeing the perspective of people who do have to live there, live sort of along that wall, and the concerns that they have, which aren't my concerns and are never going to be my concerns. I don't have to deal with it. I got my own in Massachusetts, but it isn't that. And when you take a look at, what is it, in Maine, I think the Border Patrol. So Border Patrol has just expanded. The U.S. Supreme Court expanded how far Border Patrol can go out from the borders, but since the borders includes the ocean, Border Patrol basically can operate almost independently in the entire state of Maine. I think there's like a 300 square foot like area in the middle where they don't have almost complete autonomy. And with all the power that they've been given by the U.S. Supreme Court, I can see why, even though the average person in Maine may never have to deal with this, why that's extraordinary. It's terrifying to Maine. I can also see why 90% of and the rest of the country doesn't care. So anyways, I think he brings up a good point about the border wall too. So I think that was a worthwhile. So thank you, Zandring, for that. And then we've got a few others. We've got all the usual on Jer. Dick Dawson is in the live chat. I'm going to, let's see. Nick is being affected by the carbon monoxide fumes from the fireplace. I get the impression this chat does not all have the respect for me that I would have.
I want to have my own little fireplace thing, but I want it to be a dumpster fire.
When In Time started, and I always from day one wanted it to be like a legitimate news channel, but I didn't really know all that much about what constituted legitimate news. And so we had done a few little dumpster fire things, and for me, I thought it was real serious and all this. And it wasn't. It was a lot of it was drama. But I remember when we first started, we got accused a lot of being a dumpster fire channel, and we ended up covering one of the riots, and somebody did put a dumpster fire. It just went right across the screen, and we just saw that live. And we're just like, okay, a little on the nose. So I got a recording of it. I still got to do something with it, but I think I've got it. So I can just put the little dumpster fire up there on the upper right. Oh dear Lord! Especially if we're gonna keep covering Congress, the dumpster fire thing is going to be.
Oh yeah, you're gonna need one, dude.
All right. Well, hold on a sec. Is there a? Oh, I think someone's trying to get a hold of me, but okay, no, it doesn't matter. So how goes the dog? You and I were talking about this. I used to be a cat person. I hated the idea of having a dog. It's a long story how I got one, but I was really kind of ticked at my wife for forcing us to get one. Now I'm a dog person, although I haven't recovered from the loss of my first dog, to be honest with you. That was because
he just never have clean rugs again.
So you have two dogs,
3,
and now you added a third, yeah. Because
added a third.
glutton for punishment.
So this is the new one here. Over there, you saw her wander in a little while ago. That's the female. And then the big guy who's on the other side of the barrier, who was outside barking up a storm, goes, hey, you're letting him get airtime. That's my job.
I have to believe that's what like Dick has to deal with on the shills all the time. It's like there's like 30 of them, I think, or something like that. There's like a huge number. And he's they're always. I have to believe that's the biggest. We start having a channel that big, you've got to deal. I would imagine more with the like internals and what's going on with the internal politics of everybody than actually doing a show. I don't think In Time has ever grown larger than 5, and certainly have no expectation that we're going to do that. So what's your favorite attribute about a dog?
I grew up with dogs. So even though we traveled all over the world, my parents paid to have the dog shipped wherever we were going. Other people who were, in the diplomatic community or, military people who are in that country were always flabbergasted that we would do that. Many of them would just, we had our dog when we lived in Germany, and then we gave it to somebody else, or we sold it or took it to the pound or what have you, and we went home. And my parents always viewed it as the dog is a member of the family. We are very attached to it. It would be like, I'm not going to leave one of my children in whatever country when I leave, so why would I leave the dog? So, yeah. And I like the companionship they give, I hesitate to say love, although I would personally say that that's what it is, but the love that the dog feels for you, and it's obvious that they feel that way. You become the center of their universe, and that's a wonderful feeling. To just have that dog come up and, Dad, I'm not feeling well. I need a pat, or what have you. It's just it's very reassuring. It's a nice thing, and I've always enjoyed just having them around. They're a joy to watch, doing silly doggy things that they do. And I don't know what else to say about it. There are lots of downsides, but you deal with those.
Most of the downsides end up being upsides, I think, if you handle it right. But it's a challenge and it's work.
It's one of the jokes we make about Malamutes is they shed constantly. So you have fur seriously, I will sweep in the afternoon, and by evening, there's already more fur roaming around the house. And you just can't stop it. And so we've just taken to calling it Malamute glitter.
So it is. So cats, when you want to play, they want to be left alone, and then when you want to be left alone, they want to play. Dogs, when you want to play, they want to play, and when you want to be left alone, they want to play.
They want to play. Yeah, my favorite is I'll be sitting here working on the computer, and I have my hand on the mouse over here, this arm, so it'll be down holding the mouse, and the dog will come over, and with their snout, they'll flick my hand off the mouse. Dad, you need to pet the dog now. I just need to be reassured that I'm more important than that stupid computer of yours. Yes, doggy, you are.
I think you put very well sort of what I've been thinking, and what for me was the best thing about having a dog was it made me a better person, because if you're gonna be what that dog needs you to be, it requires you to step up as a human being. You know what I mean? You have to be present with the dog. You have to be aware of the dog's needs.
Speaking of dogs,
you're speaking of. Hi there.
Hi, Daddy.
Yeah.
So this is the new guy, and he's not a purebred Mal. He's a Mal Husky mix. So he has, I don't think the camera fidelity is good enough, but he has the one blue and one brown eye.
I'm
Which
going
is
to
really
see.
disconcerting.
Oh, so
Let's
he's.
see if
Oh,
I
yeah. Yeah, you see that in certain kinds of huskies too, I think.
Well, yeah, the most, not most, but many huskies have the split eye colors.
All right, well, I'm going to
He's
see
the first one we've had with that.
I'm going to see if I can get mine in. Now, this one, I regret I have not done as much training with him as I did with my first. And so he's not nearly where my first one used to be. Well, let me see if I can I'll get my guy on screen here. And we'll see. Let me open that back up again.
So anyway, this is Zuko, who started out life as Miko, except our big guy that we had is Nico with an N as opposed to an M. So we had to find a name that wouldn't confuse the two of them.
Trained him to come to the whistle because we were out in the dog park and there he is. Well, hi there. All right, I don't know if. Oh my God!
I can see a tail.
You can see a tail. Huh? Jake, sit. There you go.
Aww.
There you go.
Head.
Let's see if
What
a
a
tail
cutie.
ahead. There we go. And a huge mess in the office, but worth it if we can.
Yeah.
Jake, come here. Hi there. You want to say hi? Now he doesn't. Most of the stuff I ever. The other camera could move. This one really can't much. I'm going to see if I can get him a little closer. There you go. Good boy. You want to say hi? Say hi to everybody. There you are. Oh, yeah.
Hi, puppy.
Aren't you a handsome boy?
I don't
Aren't you a handsome
understand
boy?
that. What are you doing? What's up?
Yeah.
I have some pats. I like pats. I'll stay here as long as you keep patting me.
Yes, he will. Oh, yes, he will. Now, this is a smart dog. It's a lot smarter than most dogs I've seen, too, which is we lucked out with that. But like I said, I haven't had as much time to train. And for me, I could never get... Stay. Can you still do down? Can you still do down? Down. There you go. Good boy. Stay. I could never do the tricks. I never wanted to do the tricks because I don't know. I thought it was. Yeah, they are like a family member, right? You wouldn't teach your daughter to do tricks or your son to do tricks. So my dog, I think I told you this story before. My first dog, we had the electric fence so he could go outside and around, and we changed the handle so it was a lever handle, and I taught him how to use the lever handle, open the door and close the door behind him, and jump up, boom, slam the door shut, good. So you could let him out, and he'd let himself back in and close the door whenever, and he had to close the door because otherwise the cats would come out. So he could do that. He could sit, stay. When I was at the park, at the dog park, all these other dogs, some of them faster than him, would steal the bowl. So I taught him how to read signals from me so I could telegraph where I was going to send the ball before I sent it, and he'd get a huge head start. And then I'd just throw the ball. It'd look like I'm going to throw it one way. All the dogs would go one way, but he's going the other way. And because he'd know actually
better.
he knows where it's going. So, I did all this training with the dog, which was immensely rewarding and helped me as much as him. And then people would say, speak. I was like, no, he can't do that. Oh, paw. No, he can't do that either. He doesn't roll over. No, he can't do that. This is the most trained dog. I was like, he doesn't know any tricks. Not a single trick. All of it is stuff that is utilitarian. He needs to know to be a productive member of the family, and that's it. But, it was,
Okay,
God.
the big guy wants his opportunity.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah. So new guy got put outside. So the big guy now wants to come in and say hello.
All right,
Here you go. Come on in.
I got another super there I got to read in a sec.
Yeah. So the Malamutes are actually quite smart, but you can't really train them to do anything because their opinion is, unless you're going to give me something, as in a treat, why the hell would I do what you want? They are the most obstinate, obstreperous mucks you've ever met.
I want them to think for themselves. himself.
They're bred that way. They're bred to be independent-minded, because if you are out there with your sled mushing through the snow, you don't want a dog who's going to go, well, you said to go straight. I'll be happy to take us over that, crevasse that's covered with snow right now because you told me to. These guys will just say, are you out of your freaking mind? No, I'm going to lie down in the snow here, and you'd better give me a fish before I get up and go in a different direction.
That's what.
It has it. I was going to say it has implications to trying to introduce the new guy, because when we had the new guy up on the couch and we were petting him, and the big fellow says, that's my throne. That's where I get pets. How dare you give him pets on my throne? So when they left the room, the big guy came in and said, I'll show you what I think of this, and left a landmine in the middle of the couch.
Oh, dear Lord.
I am not happy. And he's very happy to let you know that he's not happy.
So I think my favorite dog in terms of just breed is a husky, but the problem is huskies really are difficult because they require a good deal of training, a bit more specialized training than in most other dogs because of the pulling instinct, and they are also not as responsive.
They're also very high energy.
Yes. So the people.
That's the nice thing about mals, or at least the mals we've had, is if you don't feel like exercising, and they're perfectly content to lie around and just do nothing all day.
I developed this always be training. So for the most part, I was always training the dog, and that's in basically everything you do. And that somebody put it. Oh yeah, I'm going to read that one. I strive to be the person my dog thinks I am, which is a powerful thing. But so here was the. So I love huskies, but they're big. They have a lot of energy. We had really young girls. They're older now, so it's not as big a deal. But it's still I don't have the ability to really do the kind of work with them that they would need to be happy. So I can do it with a lab, although it's getting harder as I'm getting older. I can't do the 4-hour hikes anymore. So and then I learned about this. Now we're going to issue a warning here. This is probably one of the cutest things you will ever see in your life. This is trigger warning. This is cute. I learned of this dog. It is a husky, but it's a mini husky. It's been bred with a Pomeranian, so they are called Pomskis.
Oh,
this is a real dog. There he is. Oh my God! My daughters saw that. And they're like, Daddy, can we have one? I was like, sure.
Daddy.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, you could just put your allowance towards it. It's about $8,000 for a Pomsky.
Yeah.
But that is. Oh dear Lord. Yeah.
The one that I think would be hilarious to see is what we jokingly call a 𝗔𝐿𝐴.
𝗔𝐿𝐴. You said you joke, so that would be like a corgi with a Malamute, and I'm sure there's got to be, yeah.
Oh, they have them. They have them, but she's actually the female is a real purebred Mal, but she obviously has, I don't know, I won't call it a birth defect, but she's a runt of the litter, and she's much smaller than the average Mal. And she just walks differently and has different expressions than regular Mal. And so to us, we jokingly like to call her our 𝗔𝐿𝐴 because she does have a lot of similarities in appearance in some ways with corgi.
So we've got $2 from Daedalus Media. I strive to be the person my dog thinks I am. And also Dr. 𝗢𝗽𝗆𝗪, a follower. Thank you. Speaking of, this one, I was like, yeah, we still That's where we get our funding, is from the audience. So thank God. I appreciate that. Well, it's got to come from somewhere. So we have a good audience. I lucked out. So dear Lord. All right. So I don't know. That's yeah. My wife always wanted the dog. I had cats, and the reason I hated dogs. And it's mostly because my best friend, when I was a kid, had a dog, and his dog would jump all over you, and his dog was about as big as I was. So this is, I was probably I was probably 8 or 9 years old. And, and then the dog's humping your leg, or you, if it can get away with it, which is always humiliating and embarrassing. And I was just like, I just hated dogs. And then, once you sort of learn what dogs are, how they evolved to be what they are, and that it's a very limited range of what dogs really can and cannot do. But if you're within that range, oh my God, the most loyal beings on the planet who, there's a reason police, there's a reason you can use them in the military. There's a reason you can use them with, the police can use them. They're unbelievably loyal, and they really care about doing a good job. You just have to be very clear with them in the language they understand what that good job is.
No, I mean, we haven't really trained these guys, but it's very evident that they understand a surprisingly large number of words.
Oh, yes.
And I don't mean commands. I just mean words that they will understand. If you say this, that they're going to go, oh, okay, that's where you're going downstairs to do something. Okay. I understand downstairs. I understand upstairs.
Jake, that was the dog you just saw. Jake understands names, so he knows when I'm talking to or about somebody. So he has some idea. So he understands. He knows my daughter's names, so he knows when I'm talking to them. And like if I say one of their names, he just goes and looks at the right person, and he's just constantly. So yeah, and it's. Although I will say, I was never a professional dog trainer, but I spent years learning how to train dogs and doing it, pretty consistently with this dog. And so I was training my friends' dogs and helping them out with that. But there was this one woman who was always at the dog park. She's a nice enough lady, but she's like, I don't need to train my dog because he understands English. Like, okay, I would like clarification on what you mean by understands. If he understands some English words, I get that. He understands. She goes, oh no, I just have a talk with him whenever he does something wrong. And she would do that. So she'd take the dog aside. It was one of these little tiny dogs. She'd put him up on the table and she'd start scolding him and then explaining to him why what he had done was wrong. Exactly. And then she's like, okay, we're all good. And then 5 minutes later, he does it again. She goes, I don't understand why he's doing it again. He does understand. I guarantee you he understands me. I know he does, but he just isn't listening right now.
Let us anthropomorphize our pets.
Oh, God. I used to watch 𝐓𝐢𝐺 a lot too, and I remember there was this one lady who called him in, and he's like, he has that accent, and he speaks like this, and he was like, and then if your dog is good, you can give your dog a massage. And so that's why my wife is like, okay, you know what, my back is killing me, I need a massage. I was like, okay, go get a massage. Yeah, so 𝐓𝐢𝐺 is doing his thing, and this woman calls him in and sits down and says, okay, my dog is acting up, this, do you think you can help me? Oh, yes, I think I can help you. She goes, okay, just one thing. And she goes, I don't want to punish him or do any kind of corrections for bad behavior. Like, what? It's like, well, no, I mean, I don't want to scold him. I don't want to, if he does something wrong, we need to correct him in a way that does not have any kind of, we don't yell at him. We don't know physical contact, no harsh words.
Him.
No, yeah, exactly. And he's like, I do not think we can do that unless you want to correct the behavior without doing it. I was just like, oh my God.
I don't think dog training means what you think it means, lady.
He has to be allowed to do whatever he wants, but he has to stop doing these things. Oh my God.
Well, you got to get one of those whiteboards and some of those erasable biomagic markers, and you explain to him with simple pictographs. And oh boy!
All right. Oh, dear Lord, I think I've offended some of the live chat of all the things I thought would not be offensive. So, let's see. I'm now being told...
People?
No, I'm being... Oh, dear. Oh, that is... You know what? That is straight up legit competition. Okay, well, no. The claim was that, no, in fact, we did not show the cutest thing on social media, and so I was sent this. So let's
the Malamute pups. That's what you'd have to do.
Let me just make sure that we got the audio here. This is a sleeping cat, which for some reason I cannot fathom. It looks like. Let's see, somebody has taken this cat and put a microphone.
So he can snore.
Yeah, that's TikTok for you. That's pretty. Okay. No, I'm sorry though. This loses. This objectively is not as cute as the 𝗲𝗲𝗪𝐲. But thanks for trying. It's a kudos.
See if I can find it for you. I'll find you. And you can.
Yeah, just send it on Discord. The other, my one of my first cats ever, his name was Apollo, and he was a Bengal. And so he was a runt for a Bengal, and he was still tall enough that he could reach a light switch. Just stand up, boom, bat the light switch down, and turn it off. He also liked water, so if you left water running anywhere, you just find him underneath, like, the sink or whatever, and you'd be trying to do dishes, and it's just stick his whole head right under it, and just the water would pour and look at you, and he's just delighted. But he was clumsy, so one day he's on the sill, and he falls off, and he lands in a trash bin, and it's one of those graduated trash bins, so it's a rectangular and it's graduated. So, and he went in backwards, so he's folded in half. His feet is up there, his face is right up to his ass. He's just like he's got his tail there, and he can breathe. He's okay, but you just hear. I'm trying to find him. I was like, where the hell is this guy? And I go, I find him. There he is. You look down. He will never get out of this on his own if you don't. He's just folded himself in half in the trash bin. It was,
So I sent you the Malamute puppies silly video.
All right.
Your teeth will hurt. It's so sweet.
Oh, dear Lord. Yes, this does look good. All right. So.
Just wait. You got to put the sound on, too.
All right, we'll get the sound on. So let me snag it. It's pretty funny,
I hate doing a dog show.
Well, listen, I
feel so guilty.
Well, it's a topic that you and I both
talking about weighty subjects, politics.
That's what all the other times are for. This is downtime. This is a good use of it. Let's just see a second. Why didn't I got the I'm sure we'll have plenty of weighty stuff to talk about tomorrow. But ooh, that's unusual. Let's give that one more shot. I'm gonna try. Let's try this and see if that works. There we go. Oh my God, it's just going to give me a hard time with this, isn't it? I do think it's kind of funny, we've got the, there you go. I think that worked. That did not. Okay, finally. So, we, right before the, or when In Time started, we knew we'd have to have an interface that could really bring media in very, very quickly. And so we had a couple of different production things, but a lot of them, you couldn't bring social media in or any other kind of media quickly. So we finally got what we're using here. And It was great because if, somebody sent us a video, usually when we were covering live events, usually tragedies, would be getting the video just coming right in, and we got to stream it in. We got to have these procedures. Did that during the 6th, January 6th. Did that with Iran. Did that with a lot of the riots. So it's just funny now. I'm like, okay, here I am. We got all this software, and I'm pulling dog videos and putting them into and still, you got to keep up because they put in, even if it's not copyright, and sometimes it is copyright, but it's fair use. But whether it is or isn't, they make it very hard to pull these things. So you got to keep up with the changing, technology for trying to block this kind of thing. But we got it. It took a sec, but we got it. So make sure the audio is good, and then by special request of the commander here. McMillan has brought us up-to-the-minute footage of congressional Republicans, and they're oh, come on, that was funny.
Just in your head, it's back and forth.
Yeah, they're just scratching themselves on occasion.
I don't understand. Why isn't this happening the way we want it to?
So we've got and then. But we'll be doing the wait here.
He heard the noise. I couldn't hear the noise. Weird.
Sorry, what was that?
I saw comments here. Somebody said, "Turn the music down, please." And I'm going, "That's weird," because I could not see or hear it. Rather,
you could not hear it. Oh, that's worth knowing. That maybe for some reason it wasn't. By default, you should be able to. But but just going forward, I like the guests to be able to hear the the media we play. So I'll deal with that some other time. I don't know.
Well, I understand we also have all sorts of exciting weather phenomena going on right now.
So that's one we're going to need to cover. I think we've been doing a lot over here anyway, so we haven't covered as much as I'd like to.
Over half the states are currently under, weather alerts for, serious weather alerts for all sorts of potential problems that are going on.
And the flooding in California,
or snow, or
California, all that is basically clay. It's mud, and the water does not go into it. It doesn't get absorbed in the same way it does anyway. So when it really rains over there, flooding becomes a huge problem, the likes of which you can. And they've been seeing some pretty serious flooding. I live in Massachusetts. We've evaded the last two major weather systems. They just hit all around us, one right above us and one right below us. The one below us was all tornadoes. The one above us was massive, what really sucked in New York, and we missed both of them, so knock on wood. We'll see.
And you couple that with the fact you have all those forest fires in California, so the undergrowth is gone, so there's nothing to absorb that water, and it sheets right off of the hillsides, and you're downstream. You're going for a ride.
Well, and the oh dear Lord, and when you take a look at, they have a real serious water shortage over there, but they still, if you look, you see they plant trees and they water. They have all sorts of. They have a pretty aggressive in some areas. landscaping. But the reason is because it's a safety hazard not to. It's what's going to keep the mudslides from, it keeps the whole mountain from coming down and burying half of California, is the landscaping that they do. And when a fire comes in and takes all that out, then you've got more fire concerns, and you've got what's worse is the mudslide concerns. So, and I just got this from Titan too. This was the photos from space show 11,000 beavers are wreaking havoc on Alaskan tundra as savagely as a wildfire. I had not heard that.
I hadn't either, but I totally understand what they're talking about.
So it looks like their beaver dams are creating new ponds and new, oh wow. From space, Alaskan beavers are as influential as wildfires. So this is oh wow, this is, and I was going to say that this kind of reminds me of what's been happening in Pakistan. Pakistan is much worse. That's not a good comparison. I mean, this reminds me of like early in Pakistan, but Pakistan grew much worse than this. But this is. Oh, now we gotta. Speaking of, so we're gonna take. This is a photo from Alaska, and this is flooding caused just by beavers. Did that? Take that. Take a look at that one more time. Even this stuff, they have a number of protections to just make it a little bit harder to snag it. You can get around the stuff, but it's a pain in the neck.
Well, it has that suggestive word, so you have to be careful.
Yes, thank you. All right, where did... Okay,
what was it? It was, I think, Saturday Night Live. What was the... National Lampoon did that as a joke one time, and the cover was, wide open beavers, and you opened up, and it was somebody dissected a beaver.
Well, and Howard Stern, I think, took that kind of thing to a
a new low.
Yeah. This is okay. This one's giving me a hard time. I'm gonna try one more time to get this. It says I got it, but I can't. For the life of me. Let's see.
So I'm curious, is the problem that the beavers build the dams, the water backs up, freezes, and then in the spring when everything thaws, the pressure of all the ice now thawed and all the snow that has fallen on it ruptures their dams and causes massive flooding downstream as multiple dams, do the same thing one after the other?
That's a good question. The truth is, I don't know. Figured out the cause of the problem here. So I'll bring this up and then I will look. So there should be a little précis on what we're talking about here. For me, the biggie is the understanding that, okay, so this is it.
Oh, wow. No, they've basically created a whole bunch of dams that turned a little stream into a series of small lakes. And then what that means is in the spring, when those much larger accumulation of water and all that stuff thaws, it's going to downstream create big problems.
And they're saying here too, so what I'm reading here is it's changing the entire ecology, because now you're going to have in some places there's more water there than can freeze, so you're going to get different kinds of plants. It's going to move in different kinds of birds, changes the whole ecology of the area. Now, I'm not sure what inspired beavers to go do this, but I do think, yeah, I think there's going to be an entire new field of economic study that's going to be just how do you deal with climate change and the new storms that
we're already there.
Well, yeah, but I don't know that there's an actual specific field just for the economics of coping with climate change, because it affects.
Oh no, I don't think it's
so much,
formalized, but I definitely know that there are places that you're seeing people whose jobs are specifically oriented around that particular aspect of, study of the environment, of hydrology, of the ecology, of geography, everything, all tying in. And yeah, it's going to have profound impact on economic stuff.
Yeah, and trying to find a way to, with the least amount of economic impact possible, insulate ourselves from and it's just sad, because I sort of feel the same way I did with the COVID situation, which was an ounce of prevention would have been worth a pound of cure, but we just haven't, been able to. Oh God, oh no.
What?
No, I just saw a DM. So as soon as I said beaver, Dick Dawson was in my DMs.
Ooh.
So yeah, he sent me a picture. So this is you can see the flooding here.
Oh wow, yeah, I was right.
Yep. That's from Dick Dawson. Very very much on topic. I appreciate it. A lot of things he could have sent me, and that was thank you. All right.
But I mean, it's not entirely all recent stuff. It's been for quite a while before anybody was even using the terms of environmental impact and such. The perfect case in point is when the Egyptians dammed the Nile River, and it was supposed to take care of all the flooding problems and provide a reliable source of water for the burgeoning population and everything. And nobody figured out that by stopping the seasonal floods, you basically destroyed the ecology that was, every time the river flooded, it deposited fresh topsoil, and that isn't happening anymore. And now all what used to be Egypt's primary grain growing area, and a lot of people don't realize how big a deal that was, because Egypt used to be a major grain production area. It's kind of just disappeared because they have to bring in all the artificial fertilizer and such to make it work, and they don't have the economy to support that.
And there was mass starvation from that one, if I recall, or were they able to avoid that by? Did they? Because no. So I was thinking, to my recollection, there had been starvation when they because it took them a while to figure out that they had used up all the nutrients in the soil, and they hadn't been refreshing it. When Stalin. I'm
draining the Aral Sea, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at old maps, and it's a big body of water, and it almost doesn't exist today. In fact, it's kind of split in half. There's so little water left in it, and you can find pictures of what used to be large fishing fleets that used to provide all sorts of protein for people living in that part of Central Asia, and all of those ships are, miles from where the water is now. They're lying on the bottom of this salt desert.
I'd seen someone earlier suggested that.
And you know why he did that, don't you?
I do not.
To grow cotton.
Oh God! Well, that was so. I was curious as to how
they wanted to build a Russian fashion industry, and to build a fashion industry, you needed to have cloth. So having cotton was important to establishing a fashion industry in Russia.
I mean, Stalin gets credited with a lot of deaths, and some of them were very much deliberate, right? I mean, he had a lot of people executed, but a lot of it was, people starved to death because of mismanagement. And to what extent do you think that was just ignorance and or arrogance, and to what extent, I mean, was
a combination of the two? But yeah, I think that's a huge major part. I think in the 1930s, the famines that occurred in Ukraine, which killed tens of millions of people, it was largely because nobody was willing to stand up and tell Stalin and his favorite scientists that, hey, dudes, this isn't working because you don't understand the science behind it. But, I mean, they were literally taking all the grain from all the farms to centralize it, so they could distribute it to the urban populations. And what that meant is the next year there was no grain to plant because you'd shipped all the seed grain off to the cities for people to eat. And so what was a local famine, in the Ukraine, quickly spread to a nationwide famine because there was no food being grown.
Yeah, it's I think not a lot of people are aware.
The great leader knows everything. We cannot argue with him.
Oh, dear Lord. Well, so I had seen on Twitter somebody had said that, which is true, 99% of the species that have ever existed on this planet have gone extinct, but most of them have gone extinct through competition and been outperformed by some others. When the U.S., when human beings go extinct, it will probably be owing to our own stupidity in doing something really, really fucking dumb.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of, we'll be the first species to, it's,
self-extinct.
So, exactly. Oh, except for possibly lemmings, I suppose. But,
that's complete BS, right?
Yeah, I do.
Disney literally drove those creatures over the cliff to make an interesting story. Let's kill Bambi all over again.
So, all right. Well, listen, I think I'm gonna start to wrap things up. I'm actually really enjoying it, but I'm getting a little tired. It's getting a little late. It's 11 over here.
We've got an early show tomorrow.
We do. So we've got 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. We're going to have Starsky on, and that's always a delight. So I hope you guys will join us. That'll be on overtime. That's another reason why I'm just now it's 2 channels, which is just
we'll talk serious stuff with no puppy pictures.
No puppy pictures on overtime. Yeah, you want to see the puppy pictures? You come to downtime. That's where we show you the good stuff. I gotta show you one more. Yeah, it's so many people I've looked this with. He is real. It looks fake. It really does. But I made the mistake of showing that to my kids.
Little demon blue eyes. I want you.
Yeah, I should not have. Anyway, so now the kids are always wanting that, and my youngest wants a pug. And she's also very affectionate. My eldest is getting to the point where she doesn't want to touch anybody. She doesn't want to be near anybody. She doesn't want to so it's like, I'll kiss her on the head. That's the most. No hugs, no nothing. It's just like she'll lean her head over. I'll kiss her right on the top of the head. That's it. But my youngest, oh my God, she wants hugs, so on and so forth. Then she said that she wanted a dog. And I said, well, we're not getting any more dogs. And she goes, okay, no more hugs. So I was like, oh, ouch. She goes, hugs for pugs. So that's her motto now is hugs for pugs. So whenever I said, can I have a hug? She goes, pug. She's like, oh God, she just wants hugs for pugs. I was like, okay, okay, maybe that'll be the next one, but okay. So
I see a great future for her as an entrepreneur.
Oh, listen, she's insane. I one time came downstairs. It was like Saturday. She was already up. She was watching television. I said, "Oh, okay. Have you eaten yet?" She goes, "No." I said, "Okay, what do you want for breakfast?" The souls of my enemies. Whoa! And she knows how to get a rise out of people.
Color me envious to have a child that understands that.
I I don't know. She's got a great sense of humor. Her sense of humor is far better than mine, and she knows it. And oh my God, she can get us all. She's just the souls of my enemies. She is that one all the time now. Oh dear Lord! All we need though is some. I'm just expecting a call from the school principal or something like, your daughter's been saying some interesting things at school. Yeah, she's a handful. Oh.
Where's that? Wow. Oh my God. My wife's showing me pictures of Santa Cruz, California.
Oh yeah, let's. You know what? I do want to see if I can get one of the video.
Yum. It almost looks like a tidal wave coming through. Wow.
Let me see if I can get. I do want to before we close this out. I want to see if I can get a video of it. But yeah, I've been seeing in California the cars have been literally. Okay, here you go. 33 million Californians under a flood watch, and I think I had no, that does not have the yeah, it's water up over just over the up to the window of a car here, and then a couple where it's all the way up to the flood, but I don't know that I can easily get anything right now on this. I want to be a little careful because this is where you end up with copyright issues. Okay, here we go. This I can get though. I think I can get this one. I get that one, and yeah. So this is California right now. No, actually, that's a pretty low quality one. So let me see if I can get something a little. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I got that one, and then I think there was one other that, yeah, some of this is California. I lived in California for, I don't know, maybe about 5 years, and I learned a lot. The roads there are not designed to be able to get water off them quickly. So, in Massachusetts, the roads are actually tilted so that the water will run off, and then, you deal with that runoff. And whenever it started to rain, the number of accidents on Route 1 would go up tenfold. And it's because nobody had any idea how to really drive in the rain, and the roads weren't prepared for it. So when you take a look at what happens when they start to get, okay, I've only got this one photo. I'm going to just go with this one. But I mean, this is, yeah, that's actually just, that was yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, it's, oh, and this was the atmospheric river. So this was basically the I guess, a higher layer of very wet air, moist air, and then it was essentially a river in the upper atmosphere, and then it basically all just got dumped out. And
it probably gets combined. The one we had here got combined with what's called a king tide, which is where you have extremely high tides at the same time with the atmospheric river and heavy rainfall. And the other problem is you get very low pressure, and believe it or not, that even air pressure makes a difference in how high water will rise. So yeah, you get storm surge and all of it adding together, and we had probably I think it was like 9 inches higher than ever recorded before of tidal flooding going on here in the Puget Sound area. But we had that a couple weeks back.
Yeah, the pressure actually plays a significant.
Dang.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So, yeah, and we'll have to. It's. Yeah. Well. So tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, we're gonna have on Starsky, and there's a few other people. Anna, who I know the Shills know and have had on. I met her on the Shills once, and I've spoken to her a few times. We're looking at maybe having her on and a few others from that general vicinity. So we also have Aaron Leibowitz coming back to discuss extremism. That'll be on In Time on Tuesday. And then we're reaching out to his friend to discuss media porn. And this is a professor who has basically said, okay, erotica all sort of falls under a certain kind of trigger that you get when you're viewing erotica, but you can trigger those same endorphins, and you can receive those same triggers by consuming some kinds of media. And that essentially that's what Fox News is doing, is when you're watching Fox News, you're receiving the same kind of contentment and sort of almost a post-coital, hit from watching, if you're of that particular mindset, and that media now is becoming addictive in that sort of same way. So you have essentially media porn, where media is it's also basically the same idea as the bliss point. Doritos, I think, famously had come up with the bliss point, this idea where it's just the right combination of sugar and spices where you really enjoy it, but it doesn't actually last in any meaningful sense. So you just have to keep taking more and more, just consuming as much as possible. And that media is now doing that exact same thing. They've found this bliss point that again triggers almost like erotica, where it's like, oh, you're very triggered, but then all of a sudden it's like you need to consume more in order to have the same effect. So we're looking to do that in a couple of weeks. I think that will be an interesting show. So we're not boring.
That's for sure.
Let me go quickly check the live chat, and I'd like to get Anna on, and thank you, Dick. Yeah, we'll do that, and look forward to seeing you. Although Dick's been very understanding. I usually, if I'm going to be doing other shows, at least during the day on a weekend, I only have about an hour because, family. And see, Dick, now this is you see now this is what I got to deal with. So on the weekends, it's like, oh boy, those kids, especially when they go at you together, that's they fight all the time, except when they want something from Daddy. Then they know how to okay, you distract him, I'll get my hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So thank you, Lance, once again for coming on. It is always a pleasure to see you.
Likewise. And I'll see you tomorrow.
I will see you tomorrow. Oh, and hold on, before we do that, it looks like I've got the TikTok video still queued up. So let me change that. I as much as I like doggies, they're not really part of our official outro.
But they should be.
Oh, is that so? Yeah, right. Well, yeah, we'll find a way. All right. Well, you know what? If your dog keeps coming on stream, we'll have to add him to the credits. A little thank you line. We'll give him a tag. Thanks for the. All right. See you tomorrow, Lance.
All righty. You take care, pal.
You too.